Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be taking a look at tutorial number 7 of our 2023 December Advent Calendar. For today's build, we're going to be taking a look at this mini moss farm. Now, I decided to put it in a very unique style of building. As you see, I went with the mossy grass roof to kind of convey the point that it's a moss farm, but I went for a very colorful pinkish purple and then this orangey roof sort of color. It's a very unique sort of color palette, and you don't see very many things like it. I really like how it came out for the most part. Now, of course, you're not here for the build. Some of you might be, but you're mainly here for the redstone. So the moss farm itself is inside, and don't worry, we'll take a look at the redstone without all of the building around it. Now, on average, you're going to get approximately 71 stacks of moss for 25 stacks of bone meal, and this is every hour, so that's how much bone meal it will consume in an hour. And before anybody says anything, I know these rates are terrible, but this is a mini moss farm, hence the title, Mini Moss Farm. Some people don't have enough space for a big moss farm. And the only reason I'm making a tutorial of a mini moss farm is because me myself, in one of my survival series here on the channel, didn't have enough room for a big scale moss farm. So this moss farm that you're seeing right now, even the building, is exactly what I came up with to build in that series. Alright, this right here is a creative copy of our How About That SMP survival server that we play on. And this right here is the base. So if you're interested in any of this, go check out that series. I haven't uploaded in quite a while, but like I said, that's not what we're here for. Point is, I didn't have enough room for a big moss farm up here, so I made this little one. Now, for any of you complaining about the small size and the mini moss farm terrible rates, don't worry. Tomorrow is going to be a big, full-size moss farm. But I thought some people don't have room for one of those, so why not show off the mini one that I myself had to build because I didn't have room for a big one. Now, as promised, here we are in my experimentation world where I develop all these things. This over here is the mini moss farm we're looking at today. This is a little bit of a sneak peek at tomorrow's build, but I'm not going to show you the insides or any of the rates yet. This right here is just the redstone to make this mini moss farm work. Now, do note that most of this is buried about 4 blocks below the ground. This right here, this structure block, is on ground level, so you would be standing right here. So a lot of this is buried below the ground, and the parts that are buried below the ground, it's pretty simple. It looks overly complicated, but it's pretty simple. How this works is you flick this lever, this observer will send a pulse into this clock, and it will activate this piston, putting the block up. And that will jumpstart this clock that will permanently go around. Now, this lever, when flicked, will also go down here, unpowering this torch, allowing this little clock to turn on. This clock is just this torch, this repeater, and this redstone dust. Now, what these do is these start a clock, powering all these torches, and this down here, and these dispensers, and it just makes all these dispensers shoot their items straight up. So if we go ahead and turn this on, grab a item, we can stick it in this bottom dropper, and you're going to see it's going to travel all the way up. And there it is. And if we go ahead and grab one of these, we can put it in this hopper, and it's going to travel across, and it's going to go up into here. Let's go ahead and turn that back off. And that is the bulk of the redstone. Now back here, there is a mini item filter. What this does is it sorts out the moss. The moss goes into the item elevator that puts it into your storage or your drop-off chest. Now this will now send the carpets, the seed, the azalea bushes into this composter, which then makes bone meal and gets fed back into your farm right here. And this chest and this hopper is just extra bone meal storage. And so what it does is it takes some of the stuff from the farm that you don't want, and it turns it back into bone meal to help feed it. So of the 25 stacks of bone meal that you should be using in an hour, that is accounting for the bone meal that you should be getting in return. So like I said, it is terrible rates. But if you want good rates in a moss farm, come back tomorrow for that. Now, this clock is also going to tick this stone generator. And what happens is it's creating stone. Then, at the same time, it activates these pistons to break whatever moss spawns up on top of here. And every time it activates this observer. This observer is what places the moss there. It bone meals this moss block. And at the same time, this activates this top observer, which after a short delay, pushes that piston to break whatever spawns on top of that bone mealed moss block. Because if it didn't break that, the next time you bone mealed it, nothing would generate. And that's it. It's really not that complicated. Of course, below there's a hopper minecart. But it's not all that complicated. It looks complicated, but the majority of the system is just item elevators, which are really basic. It's just powering and depowering these, which is simply done with that clock right there. So, like I said, pretty basic. Now let's go ahead and get into building it. To build this, what we're going to go ahead and do is I'm going to show you how to build all the redstone, and then if you want to build the structure that I have around it, we'll do that at the end after the entire farm is finished, so that anybody who doesn't actually like this build doesn't have to try and take pieces of this out while just trying to get the redstone. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and jump into the construction of this farm. Alright everybody, so when it comes to building your mini moss farm, you're going to need to go ahead and dig out this hole right here. Now, if you're not making the building, you don't need this area, like these little ledges. But if you are just, making the farm, you're going to need this hole, and you're going to need this little cutout here. These spots are just where the flooring went. Don't worry about those if you're not actually going to build the house around it. So step one is going to be grabbing a little glass block, and this is going to go right here. This is pretty much going to be the centerpiece area. And this is going to be where all of our redstone sprouts out from. Now from here, you can go ahead and put a piece of wool there, and then 3 here. On this block, we're going to put a repeater on 4 ticks, and then redstone dust on all of those. Right here, we're going to put a sticky piston with a block on it. Right here, we're going to put a block with a redstone torch on the end. And then from there, put 2 blocks right here. One with a repeater right here on 4 ticks, and 1 redstone dust there. That is going to be it for our underside right now. We'll come back to this later. Let's go ahead, build the little clock, and then the stone generator. So from this little setup right here, we're going to put a glass block here with 2 solid blocks out the back like this, and 1 solid block here. Go up by 2, remove this, place in your observer facing down. This right here is going to be how you activate your stuff. Actually, I'm sorry, this has to go up by 1. So what you can do is you can put your observer here, and then you can have a block there, like this. And then you can put a solid block there, put a glass block there, and then 2 solid blocks and 1 more solid block right here. Now you can go ahead and put a solid block up right there and remove that one. You can put a lever on top of your observer. You're going to have 1 here on 4 ticks, 1 here on 4 ticks, redstone dust right here, repeater here with 1 tick, repeater here with 4 ticks, nothing on this block, so when you flick this lever, that block's going to pop up. And then finally 2 repeaters here, both on 4 ticks. On top of this block, you can add a redstone torch, then another block, and another redstone torch. That is going to be what goes to the stone generator. And then finally, let's go ahead and finish hooking this up. You can put a glass block there, and a glass block here right next to your observer, and run 3 redstone dust down that. Now when you flick this lever, it's going to put out a redstone pulse, put the block up from the piston, starting this clock, which will flick your redstone torches, and it will also power this down here, which is going to depower this torch, and depower this, which is going to run into a separate clock. For now, though, we can go ahead and turn that off. Now, from here, we can go out by 1, 2, and 3, put redstone dust on top of all of those. These can be anything, but I am using glass, as you can see. Go ahead and grab 3 normal pistons. You're going to put them right here, just like so. On top of those, you're going to need a block to build on, but it cannot be wool. So I'm going to use stone brick. The reason this can't be wool is because lava is going to be sitting right here. So if you do use wool, it's just going to burn it away. Go ahead and put a block right here. I'm using glass so I can see into the lava. And then go ahead and actually grab a few blocks of stone to just kind of put in front here. This way it doesn't overflow while you're actually waiting to start spawning the stuff in, because when you first put in your water and everything, there's not going to be anything there. It's going to overflow and break all your redstone, and that's just no good. Now, of course, go ahead and completely surround these pistons. These are going to be waterlogged, so you can go ahead and remove those stone brick blocks on top real quick, waterlog each one, and then go ahead and put the stone bricks back. You're going to run your redstone line on top of those stone bricks, just like put another stone brick there with 2 out. So you should get a little shape looking like this. Now what you need to do is put 3 normal pistons right here, redstone dust on top of each. Now when you power your clock, all of those pistons should fire, and I've just broken... Well, it didn't actually break any redstone, but yeah, that's why I said to put the stone there, but I'm kind of an idiot. If you go ahead and just put in your lava, though, it's going to fix it real quick. And pretty much what will happen now is that's just going to infinitely generate stone. I do recommend putting some blocks under there, though. That way it doesn't spread water and stuff everywhere. And then we're going to put 3 blocks of obsidian to stop it, because we don't want it to go any farther than this. So now from here, take your stone bricks and come out by 3 more blocks, putting redstone on top of each one. Go ahead and put a temporary block right here with an observer facing into it like that and like that. So you should have 2 observers. Go ahead and put redstone dust in between them. Put a solid block here and here, temporary block there, 1 there. So you should have a little thing like this. Then put a normal piston right here. Go ahead and grab out your dispensers. You're going to need a dispenser facing up right here, like so. And then you can go ahead and grab out a moss block and put that on top of that dispenser. And then finally, make sure that you have a solid block of sorts right there. That way, when this observer fires, it'll actually bone meal this dispenser. Or not bone meal, it'll just power it, which will then dispense your bone meal. Now, before we go ahead and test this, you're going to need to go ahead and put 2 redstone right here, 1 redstone here, and a repeater here on 4 ticks. Now, I do recommend that you go ahead and put some blocks here to just kind of cover that. I'm putting them in this shape because eventually we're going to have our water line running above this. And then if you are wondering about this block right here, to make sure that items don't jump out, you ain't got to worry about that because we're going to have this hopper here with a double chest right here. This is going to be feeding extra bone meal into the dispenser and at the same time preventing items from jumping out. Now we're going to go on to our item collection. To do this, we're going to go ahead and set up some temporary blocks. So right here is going to be where we want our hopper minecart running to pick up our items. And this is going to come out by 5. So it's going to be ending right here. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is put a temporary block right there and then run hoppers all the way across like this. And then we're going to remove these 6 temporary blocks, put in 2 hoppers like that, and then 2 into the back of each of those. Now you can go ahead and grab your rails. We're going to do 1 powered rail, 6 normal rails. And to power this, grab a lever and a solid block, just like this. And now you can go ahead and put on your hopper minecart. This may be a little tricky to get started, but once it gets going, it's not going to stop, so you ain't got to worry about that. Alright, so now we've gotten to this point. So what we can do is remove this temporary block, because right here is going to be where we want our composter. So actually place your composter, then remove the temporary block, and then put a hopper going straight down into that composter, just like this. Now, from that composter, we're just going to have hoppers going straight out. So just add some. So right next to this composter is going to be a line of droppers just going up. We're not going to worry about how tall right now, so we're just going to put in a few. And what we're going to do is then run 2 hoppers just like this, and then all the way up until it's connecting right here. And now we're going to go ahead and put in our little item sorter. First things first, remove this hopper right next to the composter. Put in these 2 blocks here, grab your hoppers, and put it going into the side. This way we can actually sort out the items, otherwise they're just going to go straight down and it's not going to work. Then we can put 2 more solid blocks like that, and then 2 there. Put a glass block here, put your comparator right there, a redstone torch there, and finally 3 redstone dust on those blocks. Now you can go ahead and grab the block that you want to sort out. For us that is moss, and we're going to put it right here. That's going to tick down until like 40 something, 45. Then you can grab 4 items that are not going to be running through the system. Keyword, are not. So you can use planks, you can use stone, you can use coal, but you cannot use any item that is going to be generated or going into this system. Otherwise, it will break. When you put those 4 items in, it's going to tick down 4 more, so you're going to end up with 41 moss in the system, and you should have 1 in that hopper. Now, all the rest would just go in here. So if we go ahead and chucked in, let's do 6 moss into this hopper line, you're going to see 6 moss appear in this dropper down here. But if we put in something that wasn't moss, say redstone, it's going to go to this hopper here. And if we put in something that wasn't moss that could be composted, like this flower, it's just going to turn into compost. And now we can go ahead and do our dropper elevators. So we already set this little machine up right here. So what we're going to do is put a solid block right there, and 2 there. Now what we're going to do is put a redstone torch there, put a repeater here on 1 tick, take a block, put it right there with redstone dust on it, just like such. Now on these 2 blocks, we're going to have redstone torches, put a block on top of both, and on this side, we are now done. On this side, we're going to do another redstone torch with another block, another redstone torch with another block, and eventually you should end up having 3 redstone torches, with the final one having a block on top of it. And your dropper should go up to be even with that top block, just like this. Where your water is going to be going is right here. It's going to be flowing this way. We'll finish that up in a moment though, because we have to hook up the droppers that are going to be going right here. So you can put some temporary blocks here, because you're going to have your first dropper on this side right here level with your hoppers. So you can go ahead and run the hopper line coming out of your composter into that first dropper. And then you can just put up a bunch of others until you get to that block right there. Then we're going to have a hopper going into the side of our bone meal dispenser. This way, say I go ahead and chuck in some compostable items. Need a few more. When a bone meal is created, like here, that bone meal will end up in one of these hoppers somewhere. It should end up in one of these hoppers right there. And when the system gets turned on, that bone meal is going to go all the way up into this dispenser. So if I were to flick the lever right now, eventually that should actually get bone mealed and we'll see it activate. Right there, the bone meal did end up making its way up. And as you saw, it broke the items and whatnot. So actually, if we were to leave this running, you should see the moss get sorted out and come to the top of our item elevator. Maybe. Was any moss even collected from that? There should have been 3 moss. Oh, that's because the moss is still stuck down here. Sorry, you're going to need a solid block there with redstone dust on top of it. Forgot that step. But yeah, now that that is in, you should see it coming all the way up to the top. Yes. So that's how that's going to work. And now pretty much that's it. Your farm is done. You can go ahead and add 2 glass blocks right there because your water is going to be running over top. It'll also just help hold items in. And now we're going to go ahead and run the last of our water. Grab out some glass, grab out your hoppers, and grab out some chests. What we're going to do is we're going to put 2 glass blocks like this. So you're going to have droppers, your wool, glass, 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 and then we're going to add 1 more glass. Then you're going to have this one, which should already be there. And then finally, this spot right here is going to be a hopper. So go ahead and put a temporary block there with a hopper going into the side. And then right here, you can go ahead and put in your double chest. And then, of course, add your side rails so that the water actually runs where you want it to go and doesn't ruin all of your redstone. Just like this. Grab out your bucket of water and go ahead and put that in place. That should run perfectly to the end. And if we go ahead and just put some moss down here in the bottom, we'll put in 13, turn this on, you should see all that moss pop up to the top and run through our stream into our chest. And there you see it, all that moss is counting up, and it should stop right there at 13. So now, that is it. Your farm is done and should work. If we go ahead and grab some bone meal, put that into this chest right here, that's going to go into our dispenser. And then when we turn this on, you're going to see it actually making moss. And all that moss is going to be collected and put into there. Now, as you saw, this moss just got sprayed out. Go ahead and put 4 solid blocks right there. And as you see, moss is being made, sent into our chest. I'm going to go ahead and turn the machine off right now. Because, yeah, that's it. The farm is now done. If you wanted a moss farm, there you go. Now you have it. However, for those of you who came here to see how to make this moss farm and also want to make the little building going around it, we are now going to go ahead and transition into constructing the little house that was around this. So let's go ahead and grab those resources. Alrighty, everybody. It is time to go ahead and put up the beautiful little facade around this building. So, for starters, this is our pillared layout. We have a pillar here, a pillar here. You should have this hole already dug, so you're just going to put it on the outside edges. This one is in line with the comparator. This one is just outside the hole. Then, if you go up the hole, when you get to this repeater, there should be a block cut out. You're going to go 1, 2, 3, and on the 4th block, put a pillar. From that, you're going to go 5 blocks, and on block number 6, put a pillar. From there, this one is just going to be right in the corner where it doesn't hit the stone generator, so I shouldn't have to count that one out. And then they should all line up for you. Every single one of these pillars should end up being 4 blocks tall. So go ahead and get that done for me. And then you should have something looking like this. Now, for starters, we're going to put a temporary block on this pillar, come out by 1, and remove it. We're going to go all the way down and across like this, and then 2 like that. So you're going to end up with these little plus shapes on the outside. We're going to put 3 there, 5 here, so they're going to come to a joint. And then we can do 1, 2, and 1. Coming all the way down this direction now, you get, again, this little cutout. There is going to be an extra cutout somewhere on this side, but I don't actually know quite yet. I won't actually know until I get the roof going. Once you have this completed, you're going to put a button on every single log face sticking out and hang a lantern from every single log that is sticking out. Once you have all that in place, you should end up with a structure looking like this, with a button and a lantern hanging off of every single one of these butt ends. Now, we can go ahead and get rid of our lanterns, get rid of our mangrove logs, and our oak buttons. Temporarily, like I said, you're going to need 1 more log, 1 more button, and 1 more lantern over here somewhere, but I don't know quite yet. Go ahead and grab 3 moss carpets, because this redstone item sorter here that we have, while the comparator is going to be covered, the rest of it is not. And we can't exactly just cover it with grass, because that's going to look ugly. And if you put a block here, it's going to cut off the redstone circuit and won't work. So what we're going to do is put 1 moss carpet here, and then 2 here. Now it will still work, and it's going to be hidden much better. Now we can go ahead and grab the blocks you want to use for your floor, because we're just going to go ahead and put that in real quick. I'm using a mixture of random deep slate blocks. I have deep slate brick, tile, and cobbled deep slate. And then I also have the cracked deep slate tile and brick as well. Just kind of going for a monotone gray and broken in used floor as kind of portrayed by the broken stones that I'm choosing to use. But, you know, I'm just trying to make it look worn in. Also, I just generally like the gray grayish black coloration. Deep slate is a really nice looking block, you gotta admit. Once you have that entire floor filled in, if you want, you can replace some of the yellow blocks with it. You could also replace some of the stone brick blocks with it if you want, but stone brick blocks are all hanging above the floor, so that might look a little out of place. We can go ahead and move on to the items we're going to use for our walls. First of all, we're going to go ahead and put in our door. Put one spruce door right here, and now we can go ahead and get rid of our door. Now we're going to use a mixture of crimson planks, stripped crimson hyphane, magenta, and purple terracotta. And then we're going to have crimson stairs in selective places, glass panes, and mangrove trapdoors as shutters. Using your crimson and terracotta mixtures, you can just go ahead and start filling in your walls. And then you're going to have a crimson stair selectively placed above your door. Moving on to this section over here, we're going to put 4 crimson stairs in these select places. That is because that is going to be where our windows go. You can go ahead and put in the glass panes, and then you can go ahead and once you have the rest of the wall in, grab out your mangrove trapdoors and put 2 in between each window just like this as a pair of shutters. Now the only other spot where we're going to have windows is on this wall right here. So I'm going to go ahead and put in the stairs and then the glass panes. Now I can get rid of those. Then I'm going to go ahead and fill in the rest of the wall. And once that is done, we can go ahead and put in our trap doors. Just like that. Now you can get rid of any extras. Now for the rest of the house, you're just going to go around and put in your walls. There's no more windows or anything like that. If you want, you can add some more windows, but I'm not going to because, well, yeah, I don't think it's going to look too good. I don't necessarily want to look in and see the redstone. Where I have windows put already, you're just going to be seeing the redstone in there, so I'm not going to bother adding any more. There's one wall, and then we have 2 more, and we can just go ahead and continue randomly placing these in. I'm trying to do a bit of a gradient where I have the crimson on the bottom, and then the hyphane, and then I go into the purple terracotta and finish it off with the magenta. The 2 terracottas at the top kind of just end up colliding with each other, so I don't know. I'm not doing anything too specific. I'm just kind of randomly spamming in blocks until I get something that I look pleased with. There, I am happy with that. Now we can go ahead and get rid of all those blocks because we're going to move on to our roof. For our roof, we're going to go ahead and need all of these items right here. We're also going to need acacia trap doors. I don't know how I forgot that, but I did. So for starters, we're going to go ahead and just put a mixture of acacia and smooth red sandstone stairs all the way around the spots like this. Only on the front. Now this side, we're also going to do a mixture. Now somewhere there's going to be a pillar over here, and then the other half is going to be slabs, so don't really worry about that. This end is going to be all stairs, and you'll see why there's going to be some slabs in a moment. It's going to be because of how the roof is here. But once you have this in place, you can go ahead and start putting in your moss. So right here is going to be where our moss goes, then we're going to have a line of stairs, and then another line of moss. Just like this. Now, as you can see, the glass blocks are in the way, so we are going to have to be careful with removing some glass blocks and replacing them. Being very quick and careful not to spill the water. However, of course, if you wanted, you could just remove the water and then replace them. We're also going to end up having some red terracotta over here underneath all of our moss, just like that. And there's going to be a small A-frame here, just using stairs, so it's not going to be anything super special, but Go ahead and put that in as well. Being sure to line the edge of the moss. And then we'll get to the top where we will have a stair going out and then a upside down stair. Now the top of this is going to be slabs, which I'm pretty sure you were able to guess that very easily. Let's not forget to put in these and then finish off this small section of moss on this side. And that is going to be this side of it done for right now. We will come back to this. Over here, we're going to start with the next moss section. So there's going to be 3 sections going straight up like this. Everyone is a 2x3, and there's going to be 3 of them. This corner, don't worry about. We're going to just end up joining this together into something else. You're going to end up putting a stair right here, like that. You're going to put another stair there. And then here, we're going to use solid blocks with trapdoors in front of them. And we're going to do this pattern going up. You can use any kind of blocks you want. It doesn't have to be exactly the same until we get to the very top here, where we're just going to have a row of slabs going all the way down. I'm probably going too fast for some of you, so do be sure to pause the video. But once we get to here, we need to do these sections. So here, we're going to go ahead and do a solid block with a stair. Now on these solid blocks, only on these sides here, I do not actually put trapdoors on it. You might be wondering why. I don't exactly have a reason, just I like the way it looks better without them, so I don't put them on. And once we get to the top here, again, we're going to have one sticking out, one going straight up, and then one jetting out like this. And then if we were to go ahead and put up this over here now on the other side, you will end up with this beautiful little structure, which you can then run some slabs across the bottom here. You can go ahead and fill it in with your red terracotta. I mean, sorry, not red. Why did I say red? Pink terracotta. And then go ahead and put in the moss for this side of the build. Now on the back side, there's going to be 3 sections with the moss, just like this, and these 2 are going to be the stripes going up. So I'm going to go ahead and fill in these sections of moss, and then we'll build in those stripes going up the roof. Last section of moss has now been put in. Going to grab our solid blocks, put down an acacia trapdoor, and then just continue upwards until we get to the very top like that, where now we're going to come over here and do the exact same thing. Like that. Now, we're going to go ahead and build the roof frame on this side of our build. There we go. Now, again, once you get here, you're going to go ahead and do one upside down like so, one going straight up, and then one jetting out just like this. Exact same thing as on the other side. And now, since we don't have a starting point over here, because we don't yet have our sticking out log, we're going to reverse engineer it. So we're going to start with our stair, do a block, then we're going to do a stair, another stair, a block, and then after that block, we're going to be sure to do a stair, and a block. And now we know where that log should be. Surprisingly, I stopped in the perfect spot. And then we're going to add the button, we're going to add our lantern, and yeah, I can't believe I got that perfect spot. Wow. And voila. Now right here, where this stripe on this roof is, we're going to go ahead and have this meet up with this up here. To do this, we're going to put a stair right here. We're going to then put another stair right there, and we're going to put another stair right here. Now we're going to connect these slabs up to those stairs, And then over here, where we have this right next to our water stream, we're then going to go ahead and put a stair right there, a slab there. Actually, let's go ahead and do that the other way. You're going to have a stair here, and then you're going to put a slab there. Yeah, that looks more like how it's supposed to be. Then you can go ahead and fill in this section of moss right here, and then this 2x3. Be sure to fill in this 2x3 of moss right here. Put in this 2x3 of moss right here, and then just kind of cover this up so that you don't see any gaps. And that is it, guys. Your house is pretty much done. You can go ahead and get rid of all your red smooth sandstone blocks, your acacia stairs, and your acacia slab. You are going to need the trapdoor. You can get rid of your pink terracotta. You're also going to need the moss and the blue orchid, and you're actually going to need the acacia stairs. I lied. You can go ahead and put one moss block in the center of each of these, 2 acacia stairs on either end, 1 acacia trapdoor, and then your blue orchid. Going around to the other end, where I have completely forgotten that we didn't put in the slabs, we're going to go ahead and real quickly grab some slabs. Jeez, Mr. Gaming Aquatic, completely forgetting. Can't be doing that now. Alright, now that we got the slabs in, let's go ahead and add in the pink terracotta. I still can't believe I completely forgot this. I don't know how I forgot an entire, eighth of the build in a tutorial, but I did. Once you have that all in, you can go ahead, put your moss block with the acacia trapdoor on the front, 2 acacia stairs out either end, and then your blue orchid on top. You can go ahead and get rid of those blocks. And that's pretty much it. Your build is done. However, we're going to add a few nice last details. So I recommend you go ahead and grab 4 different types of flowers of your choice. I'm going to be using the dandelion, the poppy, the cornflower, and the azure bluette. I also recommend you grab a little bit of bone meal and some glowberries. Take your glowberries and just kind of place them around where they are hanging down, just for some nice little pieces of extra detail. I really like the way they look when they're just kind of hanging off the roof. Don't go crazy with them, but do go ahead and add some. They do look really nice and add some beautiful details. Also, I am so incredibly sorry. I am an idiot and have completely, once again, forgotten to put blocks right here. So go ahead and put in 5 slabs there. These are all supposed to be A-frames, so you're supposed to have the A across the middle there. That's the point of the bar. I don't know how I keep forgetting, but sorry. Go ahead and get those in. Now, take your bone meal and go ahead and just randomly bone meal the mossy roof. Now, once you're done just randomly bone mealing, I'm going to go ahead and remove the azalea bushes that spawn because I think they're a bit too blocky to keep on the roof. I also recommend that you do be cautious with tall grass because too much tall grass can kind of take away from the feeling. Once you are all done with the bone mealing, go ahead and take your flowers and just randomly place them around your roof to add that extra pop of color. I don't recommend putting on way too many because too many is just, it's too much. You know, it's going to really take away from the feeling and the vibe that you're trying to build around the building. But go ahead and just dot a few, maybe a handful on each section. And then we can flip around to the back, being sure to place in a good variety. That's why I said to choose 4. You could also have 5. I think once you get to 6, you have a bit too many in my opinion, but that's just my opinion. And let's see, is that it? I think I'm happy with that. I would like to put a dandelion right there. And I'm going to get rid of the tall grass. Like I said, tall grass, it can work. It depends on the vibe you're going for. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and get rid of the rest of the flowers because I am very pleased with how this has come out. That is going to be it for today's tutorial. In this tutorial, we have gone over how to build this beautiful little structure. Inside this structure, I showed you earlier how to build this fully automatic miniature moss farm, which does generate quite a good amount of moss. However, before we go ahead and end this video, I know I said it earlier, but if you want a moss farm that gives very good rates, come back tomorrow, because tomorrow we are building a giant moss farm. Anyways, this has been Mr. Gaming Aquatic, and I really hope you enjoy your holiday seasons, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye!